Good evening. Good evening. It's not Monday, but I thought I'll let you off on Easter Monday. And yes, it's Tuesday, and we are talking about you today with Leslie Stevens. I'm Sonka. I'm your intuitive life coach, nutritional therapist, NLP practitioner, and leader of Women Business Club in Macclesfield. Yeah. So I thank you very much, Leslie, for joining us tonight. I'm really excited about this because even just before we started live, we are chatting about food and mood. And I've chosen the title a little bit loosely and just to attract people and make it really clear what we are talking about, because we are actually going to be talking about mindfulness, mindset, and how it impacts our health, and not just health in abstract way, but actually IBS, depression, anxiety. So really debilitating, what you may call disorders, or certainly kind of discomfort in our life. Let's call it the discomfort in our life, which is making our life really, really difficult and awkward in some ways. And, and sometimes it may even feel impossible, especially when it comes to depression and deep stuff like that. So I'm really excited about this. And so thank you very much for joining me. I'll let you to introduce yourself, because I just found that it just works better than me talking about other people. So please do tell us.
Well, thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here. Maybe a little bit more excited than you. But I am Leslie Stevens. I'm a health coach, I'm a registered dietitian, and a personal trainer. And my specialty is really in the gut brain axis and how what we eat can influence our mood, and the other way around. Our mood can influence the way we digest, the way we metabolize. All of these things come together, and we are just one huge synergistic being, and we have some of the choice over how we're feeling. And Sanka, you mentioned depression and anxiety, things like that, and those are all things that I've been through myself. So not only do I put this into practice with all of my clients, but I have been through the trenches myself and put everything that I've learned into practice.
Yeah, and that's why it's so powerful to have a conversation with you, and I hope it will be others will see it as a powerful and valuable, because it's one thing for me telling, for instance, my clients, yeah, this depression, anxiety. Let's go through food. Let's get down those right nutrients in. Let's remove the toxins. But because personally I was blessed not going through it, for me, even just talking to you, it's massive help, because if I come across a client with depression and anxiety, I can only relate to a certain point and from scientific point of view. So I thought having you on this chat tonight, going through your life, through your own experience, and show there's actually possible, and give people tips what you've done to actually get out of that bed and make that massive change, and going from a real depressed, I'll let you to speak the details, but from a real deep depression to kind of being this absolutely amazing example of health. So beauty inside out, and you're just glowing health, so you don't even have to say what you do. It's obvious, and that's the powerful message, isn't it, to actually have that experience and show, here I am, peeps, and I'm doing really well, and this is what I've done. So give us a little bit of your story, whatever you feel people may benefit from, and whatever you want to share with us tonight. How did you get to nutrition and depression, and connection between mind and
Of
body?
course. Yeah,
Let's
definitely.
dig
Well,
in.
I know that going through depression, like being in depression, the hardest thing to see is the other side. So that's the reason why I share my story, is because I know that being in that place, you're like, there is no way out. And just
Mm.
seeing someone who has made it to the other side can make a huge difference. So that's what I strive to just portray by telling my story. And I am in the United States. I grew up like most normal American kids with a standard American diet. I ate fast food very frequently. I went to McDonald's at least once a week. I loved my sweets. I would play all of the sports. I played soccer, basketball, I played tennis. I did everything active. But then after that, I would go and have candy or some sweets, all of these different things that made me really unhealthy. But I didn't realize that. I didn't realize how much of an impact it was having on my body. I thought being sick at least 3 or 4 times a year was the norm. I thought, oh, I'm meant to feel not so great all the time. I'm
You
meant
kind of
to,
expected as well. It's like, oh, everybody's going down with cold. I'm next.
yeah, exactly.
Oh, I feel bloated. Well, and well,
Yeah, like,
today I feel
oh,
bloated more than yesterday, but it's all right.
yeah,
It's just normal.
okay, it's normal to feel bad after eating dinner because it's pizza all the time, kind of things like that.
Yeah.
So I mean, I was very active, but I really struggled with my weight at the same time because I wasn't eating very nutritiously. So when I got to high school, that had a huge impact on my self-esteem. So I struggled not only physically but also mentally because I I wanted to feel feminine. I wanted to feel pretty, and I'm very tall. I've been 5'10" since high school, so I'm a very tall person. And being
Which
big
means very
and
visible for a
yes, very visible. So being bigger and taller, I was extremely insecure. And I kind of just tried to hide in every way that I could. And at the same time, I was also struggling with a poor relationship with my family at home. So struggling with the way I felt about myself and struggling with the relationships that I had in my family, I fell into a deep, deep depression to the point where I attempted suicide multiple times because who I thought I wasn't aligning with who others saw me as. And being in that space of misalignment, it gets so confusing, especially for a teenager.
Yeah,
And
because you're looking for yourself anyway. You are looking who you are. You are shaping in that age, aren't you? Getting sociable and everything.
yeah,
So we are confused, the hormones and everything. So I
yeah,
can only imagine with all that on top, it must have been overwhelming.
yeah. And that in high school is when I started to try and diet because
Yay!
I wanted to be smaller and I knew I was uncomfortable in my body. So I was like, okay, well, then aren't you supposed to go on a diet? So I tried the weird cleanses, anything I could get my hands on in high school. You don't really know very much about eating healthy, but you have access to those weird things on like Pinterest, on Instagram, these things that you think are going to be a quick fix, but in all reality, they're just kind of a band-aid if they even do work on the real issues. So I went to college as far away from possible from home as I could get because I thought if I could get myself out of that situation at home, maybe that would make me happy then. And when I got to college, I realized I was the same person that I was no matter where I was in the country. I'm still who I am. And I was still so confused about who I was supposed to be because I was being told I was something that I'm not. And I'm uncomfortable in my body. And I know I'm supposed to feel better than I actually do. And I just reached a point where I was like, okay, if it doesn't matter where I go, it has to be within me. Like I have to change something that I am doing because I hated the person that I was. I didn't want to be who I was. And I was like, okay, if this is going to change, no one can change it for me. So I started again with what I felt was the the one place that I kind of knew how to work with, and that was changing my physical appearance. So being an athlete growing up, I was like, okay, I know how to work out. I can do a
I
workout
can do that.
and I can find the gym. So I just started going to the gym. I didn't even know what really to do, but I got on the stair stepper and I was like, I just have to start. And I was like, if I can do this for even 10 minutes, then that's a great place to start. And then I just kept showing up every day, trying to figure out what to do. The next day, tried to get more brave and maybe go lift some weights, things that I had done earlier in my life through sports, but just figuring it out on my own and a lot of trial and error. But I was going to stick to it because I knew eventually it would get me somewhere. And it was during that time that I actually ended up in a nutrition course. It was my elective course.
Funny how these things happen, don't they?
Yes.
Before you go to that, Leslie, I would like to kind of recap what I'm hearing there. Kind of three points. Hopefully, I remember all three now. When I said it, there was something when it comes to changing what you've been doing. It was first step for you to was to listen to your instincts. Listen to you used the word feel. I feel this is something I can do, and this is something it has to come from within. So that intuition, that feeling, and kind of tuning in, because everything else kind of failed you outside. So and it wouldn't it? Because that if you don't change, doesn't matter what's happening around you. If we don't change, it's never going to change for us. So it was the first thing I picked up on, that feeling and tuning that I feel it has to be inside me. So more than, and then conscious decision came, and then you went for something you felt familiar with, and you knew you enjoyed. And I think that's another really good point, that people are often trying somebody else's recipe. And this worked for you, and this was gym because you knew how to work out, and it was familiar for you, and it was familiar environment. It was something you didn't have to go and figure out on top of it. You just kind of are building that confidence to do a little bit more and a little bit more, and show up and not feel like, oh, I'm going to lift that weight, what people will be thinking about me, rather than not knowing what to do when it comes to exercise. And I think it's an important point, because somebody may listen like, oh, but I don't know what to do in a gym. I wouldn't even know. And that's fine. It may not be way for you to get out of it. Find something. It can be painting, it can be embroidering, it can be going for a walk. The point is to find something which is really truly you and resonates with you, and it's something you don't have to go through another chore to try to work out and learn something. So is that right? Would you agree with me?
Yes, definitely. And just being open to trying different things, like even if it doesn't feel good at first, just being open to like trying different types of maybe exercise, trying different activities, crafts, just being open to finding what something that might bring you joy is, because it's so easy to just lay there and be like, I'm just gonna feel like this forever. It's so easy to do that, when if you can commit to just trying one thing, even if it's the smallest little task, like do that and then build on it. If it's just getting up out of bed and walking around the block, that's awesome. Do that once.
As for me, as I said, thankfully I've not experienced such a deep state of depression that I wouldn't be able to get out of bed or anything. But for me, that's the toughest point when I'm listening, that actually you are there, you don't even want to open your eyes and face the world, but you actually have to, because you really want to get out of that state. So you literally, it's a little bit like convincing yourself, isn't it? And kind of bargaining with yourself. So for me, that seems to be the hardest point, Once you
Mhm.
get through that every time, but obviously, obviously, I assume to start with it's battle every time to go and do something. Is that right?
Mhm. But I think, I mean, so many people are just comfortable being uncomfortable.
Yeah,
Like they're
yeah,
just
it's so easy.
settling in it. So it's deciding what uncomfortable you want to be in. Are you going to, you kind of have to trick your brain because your brain wants you to be comfortable and it's going to keep you in whatever your normal state is. So if you are uncomfortable, but like in bed and you're used to that, your brain's going to be like, just stay here. So what you
Mm.
have to do is you have to trick your brain. Mel Robbins has this 5 second rule where she says you have to count backwards from five and then just go and take the action so that your brain doesn't give you time to convince yourself to do something otherwise. And I still use that. And I mean, I don't use it at such like an extreme extent, but there are days where I don't want to get up and work out. There are days
Actually,
where,
every your video, your little reel about the
uh,
stages getting to the gym, and I was like, oh, thank God for that. Sorry, I didn't comment. It was like, it's not just me.
I mean,
So to hear from someone like you, it's quite comforting.
we all have those little battles every day. So, like, even
Yes.
knowing that, like, we all have to get ourselves to that point, it's also one of those comforting things that, like, okay, it's okay that I'm feeling this way.
Mm.
There are so many ways to get out of it, and then you build up that trust with yourself. Like once you do start showing up for those things, once you do start taking those actions, uh, you build this kind of trust for yourself. Like, okay, I can show up when everything feels like it's wrong, or I can show up even though I don't really know what's going to happen down the line. And that trust builds so much confidence in yourself. Like, I know I would not be even close to how confident I am now unless I actually went through that process,
Mm.
because I have dug my way out of this huge hole. And now I've proved to myself that I can do it. That now I borrow that confidence to do other things in my life.
Yeah, and it's so powerful. And actually, I went for a walk today, and funnily enough, I had the same thought. It was like confidence. How did I actually get to the point that I'm talking live to people and not even thinking about that? From being really conscious and same like you, I'm quite tall, and I was always bigger. And I had big curly hair, which there were nothing to keep it tamed when I was little. Big glasses, which you only had that many to choose from. You couldn't
Mm-hmm.
have all the possible styles. So, and I was quite clever and popular with teachers. So the combination was definitely not gonna make me popular in high school. And
Mm-hmm.
it came with me to adulthood. And actually, I can put a hand on my heart and say I ate my way to confidence.
Mm-hmm.
I ate my way to confidence because as soon as I started putting into my body what it can deal with, what it's familiar with, and what does it the best, it possibly can, what really works with it, and all the real food, that's where my confidence and I started changing, or kind of started to be happy to be me.
Mm-hmm.
And
That's a
I got to the
beautiful
point
way to
that,
put it.
yeah, so I think that brings us to what you actually are so passionate about, that
Mm-hmm.
connection between food and mindset. And yeah, depression, it's very much mindset or thought of. But tell us a little bit, if you're ready for that part.
Yeah.
Tell us what you've learned about, and what you're teaching your clients, and what you are so passionate about, the connection between brain and our gut and our health, full stop.
Yeah. So most people, when they start to eat healthy, you feel better first. Before you see any type of physical changes, you feel better. And that's the first thing most of my clients say. And I mean, most people I hear from when they start making healthy lifestyle changes. And I didn't even realize what I was doing when I first started my own personal journey of eating healthier. But the food that you eat and the certain types of foods that you're eating can produce feel good hormones in your body. So when you're eating things that are high in fiber, when you go from a diet that's very low in fiber to one that's high in fiber, you start feeding your gut microbes and they get stronger, more diverse, more stable, so that they're helping your gut process these byproducts, which then produce serotonin, and that goes into your circulation and creates these feel good emotions. And it was just so incredible to like look back and be like, oh my gosh, that's what I was doing. I was feeding my happiness by eating fiber. And you can influence the way you're feeling by like also the opposite way. So you can be feeding poor feelings if you're eating low fiber diet and a high animal fat diet, because that's physically weakening the barrier in your gut. And when that barrier gets weak, the inside of your gut can leak to the outside, and then that triggers an immune response.
Mm.
So
Because
that
basically the
immune,
compounds which are not supposed to go through the barrier are getting through and into
yes,
body, and basically it panics our body because it doesn't recognize those compounds because they are not supposed to be there.
mm-hmm.
And that's where the reactions are coming:
Yes,
intolerances, allergies,
yeah,
and skin responses. Yeah.
yeah. So they produce cytokines, and the brain has a ton of cells that respond to these cytokines. And they have a strong, strong connection with psychological disorders and things like depression and anxiety. So we don't realize when we're eating, we're feeding our happiness or we're feeding poor feelings, because
Yeah.
at the most basic level, you know that when you eat something that's not super nutritious for you, you don't feel super great. And when
No.
your stomach doesn't feel super great, are you usually in a good mood or are you usually grumpy?
Grumpy. Yes, and so true, because people know, I just don't. I feel so much better when I eat better. I hear that all the time. It's like, so what's
Mm-hmm.
stopping you? But that's completely different topic, as the mindset change and everything. How we, but we all know that we feel much better when we eat right things, isn't it? Let's call them right things. And even it takes me a little bit back to your very beginning, when you were athlete and you were working out, and you were very active, and you were feeding your body with pizzas and a beige food. And it's inflammation on inflammation as well, isn't it?
Yeah.
So just working out and eating, let's call it crap.
That's, that's accurate.
Is yeah, I couldn't think of better word quickly enough. It's basically double whammy, because you are increasing your inflammation through excessive exercise,
Mm-hmm.
and you are feeding inflammation through your food.
Mm-hmm.
And that again, it's all linked to depression, to anxiety, to inflamed gut, the permeability of the gut, and even a brain barrier.
Mm-hmm.
Just to kind of make a circle, that's why it's not just working out, but eating well is it's maybe in some cases more important than actually the high intensity exercise.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me whether you agree, because obviously you've got the exercise part a little bit more so stuff than me. I'm one of those people who take exercise as a supplement. It's
Well,
not my passion. It's kind of yeah. It's necessary, and it does me good. I'll do it twice a week. But yeah, that's double whammy, because many people start exercising, but they undereat or still eat things which are not supporting body nutritionally or energy wise. So, and then actually they may feel even worse. They may put even more on weight, and something if they are already struggling with any mental issues like depression or anxiety, it may exaggerate, actually may make it worse.
So for exercise on its own, what's going to make the biggest difference if you have a weight goal or overall health goal is definitely going to be how you eat. So I always talk about exercise is that cherry on top. But exercise on its own can actually produce a lot of those feel-good hormones too.
Yeah.
And it has a lot of benefits, but that's only also if you're taking care of your body and allowing it to repair. Because whenever you're doing any type of exercise, your body is going to adjust and want to go stronger, because essentially when we work out, we're causing stress on the body. So it's starting to break down a little bit. It causes micro tears in your muscles, but we need to be able to repair those so that we can get stronger, or else we're just continuously breaking down and breaking down and breaking down. And that's where it can also lead to anxiety and depression if you're not fueling that exercise in a smart, beneficial way. So
additional stress, as you said, additional stress on body, which body already struggles. Yeah. No, I think it's. I found there's important point to make because there is lots of pressure still on doing exercise and doing it hard. And again, sometimes walk every day is better than kind of going to die to gym on a mat and until you puke, you've not done enough. So just again, as long as it makes you feel good, that's the right level for you. Going beyond that feel good point, that may be good measure for people how much they actually need to exercise at that point, so they are not putting another pressure or more pressure on their body. Oh, beautiful. So what's currently, because I know you are reading lots of research, and it's when I started looking into it now, particularly for our conversation today, into a little bit more detail, is that it's amazing what's happening out there, and what research is there, and how comfortable the research is that this connection is there. There's no doubt about it anymore. But for you, because obviously you've read so many, what's the real kind of wow for you from all this? Do you have one, or is it just everything again, and it will be hard to choose just kind of one point?
I think if one thing stands out for me the most is how much people underestimated the gut microbiome, because it only recently has it even been recognized as an actual like organ in our body, and it's so highly influential on so many chronic diseases. They've connected it to 70 chronic diseases now. And even the power that the way we think has on our gut. I think those are the two most profound things that I'm seeing pop up in the research, because even now they're trying to push to add nutrition into therapies for depression and anxiety, and have them work as a more comprehensive team. And as a dietitian, I know it's been very hard to get nutrition to be recognized as something beneficial, even in the hospital setting.
Yeah.
So having it now being researched so thoroughly and have so much evidence that's growing, because this research is only in its infancy. Like, we are only scratching the surface to figure out this stuff. And that's why I think it's so cool, because it's this ever developing thing we just get to learn more about. And the more proof that we have, the more empowered we are to make these choices, to get us to a point where we can feel our best. And
as you said before, we can feed ourselves happier, can't we?
yes,
And I absolutely love that, how you said it, and it gives such a power and control over something we thought we are completely helpless. So it's amazing. So it's really amazing. It's just mind blowing. I could just keep smiling just thinking about that.
that's why I love what I do.
Yeah. So when it comes to, if somebody is listening now and is at that stage that, oh, I just can't imagine how I could get to where you are today. Obviously, it didn't happen overnight. It was lots of hard work. It was lots of convincing. How long did it take you? Are you happy to share the time scale when you actually started enjoying it, and it wasn't only because you're trying to dig yourself out of the depression?
Yeah, it was probably a year. And then you get to a point where it's just part of your normal routine, and you notice significantly that you feel better on the days where you do it than the days that you don't, because you're not stuck in those days where everything just feels awful. You have those glimpses of like, oh, I can feel this way, but I have to purposely act on that. But it's that other thing, like you're empowered to do it. You know, you have the choice. And I think when you know you have that choice where you can choose between feeling good or feeling not so good, you're going to feel better. You're going to make that choice, especially when you have been feeling bad for such a long time. But that journey doesn't come without flops in the middle or weeks where you just
and it
don't
never
show
stops,
up.
really, because once you get that feeling of oh, this is how I can feel, you want more, and you want it more often, and you want it all the time. And I don't know how about you, but then it reverses itself and you don't feel like that. I was like, what's wrong? What have I eaten? Why do I have a spot?
Well, it goes back.
You can get a little bit obsessed both both ways. So, but
Yeah.
it never stops, obviously. So don't. I just want to add another point. It's a journey. And it's forever journey, and it just will go as far as you want it to go, and just go with it. It's a lifestyle change. It's not something you do for 3 weeks and expect miracles. But miracles actually, if I may say so, do happen if we eat that miracle food from Mother Earth and just let that to do its own magic. Would you agree, Leslie? Does it feel that way? Certainly it does to me. Certainly it does to me. Fantastic. Is there anything else I didn't ask you about, but you feel it's really important to mention?
I just want everyone to know, if they are at any point of their journey and they are not happy with the way things are going or how fast they're progressing, or if they even think that they're doing it right, it is seriously just one big lifetime adventure. Things that worked for me years ago don't work for me now. I just call it one constant evolution to happiness. And what's better than creating a journey that like leads you to your ultimate happiness? And you can create that every single day. You do have the power to do that. And that's why I do what I do, to empower other women, to let them know that they have a choice.
I'm a living example. It's possible. Just go for it.
Yes, exactly. So
Beautiful.
I do have my Dream Body Breakthrough Masterclass.
I was just going to say, you've got some amazing offers now, or
yes,
programs coming out.
That is going to be on the 15th of this month. So that is a masterclass that I have created just for the people who feel like they have tried everything and nothing's working, to really break through all of those barriers. And I go into my signature system, which I use with all of my clients, the same stuff that I used on myself to create everything that I have created in my life now. So I just want to share that with everyone so that they can create their breakthroughs as well.
Brilliant. Sounds absolutely amazing. So yeah, we'll share it here as well. We'll share it everywhere. Let us know the link, and we can put it into the comments and share with people. There's still time to sign up for it, but also obviously you're doing one-to-one sessions. So if people want to approach you that way, we'll post where they can find you as well. Or if you have any questions about today's chat, please approach either me or Leslie directly, and either of us will be happy to help and point you whichever direction we'll feel it's right for you. Thank you very much for joining me tonight, Leslie. It was absolutely amazing, and I kind of got a feeling, because I try to keep it to half an hour so people don't go, all right, I need to go now, time for a cup of tea. But I've got a feeling we should chat again and take this further, because we can really kind of offer value in even in a couple more or 3 more chats, and go a little bit deeper, go maybe a little bit into exactly house and what exactly you've done, and where to start with food and things like that, so we can share that with people as well. So let's chat again, and I'm looking forward to it already. So we'll be back again sometime. So for now, go and digest this absolutely amazing food we've given you tonight. Hopefully it was helpful. It was really good to chat to you, Leslie. Thank you very much for joining me tonight.
Thank you so much.
Bye.